everyone, for today's mini documentary I would like to introduce you to the Sydney Harbour ferry Kuring Gai. This lovely vessel was built in 1901 by Mort's Dock and Engineering Company in Balmain in 1901 and cost the princely sum of £23,789. This ship was 175 feet long, 31 feet in the beam, and weighed 497 tons. The three-cylinder triple expansion steam engines drove a single propeller at each end and gave the Kuring Gai a top speed of 15.6 knots. What is critical about this ferry is that it confirmed the template of how Sydney Harbour ferries would look in the next several generations. It was an enhancement of a previous ferry called the Manly, which had also been designed by Walter Reeks. That vessel was wooden hulled. It had this unusual concave keel, but it was so successful that the Kuring Gai was a consolidation of those design principles. Only this time, this ship was built of steel and iron, although the superstructure was made out of wood. It was double-ended, it had two wheelhouses at each end, and it essentially confirmed the template of success for the layout of Sydney ferries. And even to this day, the Manly ferries that operate in Sydney Harbour are double-ended. In 1928, when the new ferries, the Curl and the DY, entered service, the Kuring Gai was sold to the Newcastle Ferries Company for £8,000 and operated as a ferry service to the Walsh Island dockyard and would occasionally do excursions up the Hunter River to Raymond Terrace or over to Broughton Island and Port Stephens. By the outbreak of World War II, this ferry was thoroughly worn out, and yet the United States Navy still were able to find a use of it, and the hulk was towed up to New Guinea and used for storage. At the end of the war, the hulk was returned and laid up at Hexham, where it sank and was essentially forgotten. However, as the industrial area around Hexham was demolished and the docks covering the wreck were uncovered, the bones of the Kuring Gai could be seen, and at low tide you can actually make out the hull of this ship. And as you can see in this drone footage, at low tide you can see in the hull, you can still see some of the steering mechanisms, and you can still see just the two peaks that would have been the top of the steel hull. This interesting ferry is all but forgotten. For a ferry that contributed so much to how several succeeding generations of Sydney Harbour ferries would look and operate successfully, this ship deserves to be better known. And if you would like to learn more about this ship, may I recommend to you this book, Manly Ferries by Tom Mead, The Ferries of Sydney by Graham Andrews, and to learn more about its very talented architect, this magnificent book, Walter Reeks by Nicole Mays and David Payne. So if you wish to learn more about this fascinating ship, please dig into those wonderful books.